Hello student, let's continue with the series of the RapidMiner in unsupervised data mining. So we're going to just use for some data set and the k-mean clustering to do for the customer segmentation in this example. Okay, so to do that, I will demonstrate all the things on the patient data. You can easily get this data from canvas, and this will be provide you guys for 4 different characteristics or 4 different variables, including for the gender, okay, male or females, the height, the weight. The height will be in in the kind of like inch. The weight will be in the pound, and the waist list. If nobody know what is that, what the waist size mean, so this will be the waist size. The waist size will be this one, or normally you say this one, right? A part of body that's normally you call the second side, and that will be the separation between your chest and also your stomach. All right. So you know about the 4 different variable in this data set, right? And now let's do it and do for the data clustering. First of all, to just run all the things smoothly, I have to read the data, right? I have to read the data into the computer, and I use a rich CSV file. So going to import, and let's go to import some data. So go into the directories where you save for your data file. For example, here with me, I save it in this folder, okay, and patient data. I have no problem about any kinds of the problem about the data, so I'm just go next. And gender will be polynomial, that's right, because or you can say sometimes this will be just nominal, okay, binomial, that will be totally fine too. Height, that should be integer. Weight and the weight size will be integer, that's correct. Okay, so this will be the first part. Second part, okay, so I'm going to use the cluster, right? The clustering. So if you do for clustering or the k-mean, this will be this one. And if you want to create and just link all the things together, okay, so here the cluster will ask you for some kinds of option. One of the important options will be k, that means the number of the cluster. Over here, I believe that I should have about 2 cluster or 2 group, okay. The max run, that means the maximum iteration, maximum time for you to run for iteration, or the number going to as many as time that you want. The other thing, like the maximum optimization step, so I would recommend you guys just put them in default, because the higher the number it would be, the longer the time for the RapidMiner to finish for their work. So if you want, just don't make it too long, just keep it like default. Okay, another thing, so here about the divergence, you will use some kind of like algorithm, right? So you can use the Manhattans, or you can use like the square of Euclidean distance. So over here it will be defaultly put into the Euclidean distance, so just keep it like that way. Okay, one of the only problem would be like the sample contains some of the non-numerical attributes. And what the problem here? Remember about our data, right? We have the one of the problem would be our data. One of the variable would be gender, and they are male, female, right? They are not the numerical attribute. So this would be the problem. So how we can solve for that problem? Easy. Transfer the numerical, the dummy variable, or the kind of categorical variable like gender into the numerical variable. So you can say like transfer from like nominal to numerical. Okay, so it could be here have the nominal into numerical, and you can put them in the middle of this one. So I would just defaultly put all the things like or not, because that's over here only the gender need to be transferred, right? So then we encode them like the dummy coding like 1 and 0, and now all the thing has been clear. So if the model has been ready, I'm going to go and run it. Okay, so this will be the result. This will be the result. You can see like it can create for the two cluster 1 and cluster 0, right? Sometimes this is 1 and 2 is whatever. So in total we have a 500 observation, but here 247 item or 247 observation belong to the cluster 1, and the 253 item will be displayed in the cluster 2. Okay, and if you want just display about the graph, so you can see like they change it into the 2 nodes. Okay, whatever it could be for the other. You can also change it into the other kinds of stuff like the layout or the other, but that's quite the same. The centroid table, that's very important. So that let us know that's the characteristic of the different cluster. For example, here in the cluster 0, okay, you can see like in this group about the male and female, so 49% could be like male and 51% could be like female. It's okay. But however, about the weight, okay, so the weights of them is about like the height of them could be about like 66.9, and this will be 66.92. So they quite kind of insignificant between the two groups. But let's see about the weight. So the guy in the cluster 1, normally they will be 295 pounds in weight. While in cluster 1, they just like 172 in weight. So that means in cluster 1, they much thinner, right? They are not that heavy compared to the cluster 1. And also about the weight size, okay? So the weight size of the cluster 0, they very big, 48 inch, when in the cluster 1 like just 33. And which one you prefer? Of course this will be cluster 1, right? Because this one they have a lower weight, they have a like smaller size of the weight, and that means they are in the better shape of the bodies, and they get the lower risk of things like diabetes or cardiovascular. Okay, so this will be the main conclusion. So I prefer to be in the cluster 1 more than cluster 2. So let's do about that one. Okay, let's come back into the design and let's go and see about the other kinds of stuff. Of course, like not here. So of course it's over here. You can also apply for the model you already trained into the new model, okay, into the new data. So for example, I have the data, what's the course, patient data, news. So here I have just like 4 more observation, right? And they provide also the same information, the same like variable. That's what I already mentioned in the previous example. However, now I want to use about the previous model I already used for training in the machine learning to just clarify, to just like see like what observation or which example will belong to which cluster, and I apply for that one. Okay, it's okay. So now if I want to do that, I will just change for the thing a little bit better. So before when I gonna just do that, I will create for another function called normalization. Okay, normalization, or what you say, normalize, and I put them in the middle after when I finish transform all the data into numerical, and I make it into normalize, apply for all the variable before this one. If I run for that one, the result will be quite the same. It still be quite the same even when it's having changed for some kinds of like the number. But you don't really have to care about that one. Okay, I just care about the final result, like what is me. So now I will go into load for the new data into the model. So I will read the CSV file one more time, right, to read the new data file into, okay, maybe I just put it over here, and I load for the new data into RapidMiner, BNK, and Advanced, and Model, RapidMiner, this one, next, whatever. Okay, so with this one now, with this one now, I'm going to use another function, or I will just put them over here. Okay, I will use another function called apply model. Okay, and I put it over here. So I will apply the model into the conclusion out into the model part. Okay, so that means they understand that I will use the result of this model to apply for this model to read this data. Okay, I'll put up this data and see about the result. Okay, I want to see about the model too. Okay, and I have like all the things together. Now if the thing has been done, let's go and see about the result. Okay, so this will be the result. Still the same with the centroid and the plot size is not important. Let's go and see about the result of the new model. Okay, of the new data. So all of the 4 new data that has been put into the cluster 1, and remember about the cluster 1. Okay, about the cluster 1. So the cluster 1, about the cluster 1, if you remember about that one, so the cluster 1 had the lower, right? Have a higher risk, will be the higher risk cluster. What cluster 1 will be like the low risk cluster. So cluster 0 will be higher risk, and this guy, for example, this will be male, female, something, but they weight could be quite overweighted, right? They could be quite higher than the average, and the weight size would be also a lot too. So that's the reason why they put into the cluster 1 would be like high risk of getting like other problem about diabetes. Okay, and this will be my demonstration about how you can run for RapidMiner to apply to do for the customer clustering or the customer segmentation. And we're going to see about how to do for the homework in the next video. Thank you so much.